Okay, well, we'll get started. And so today we're just going to talk a little bit about PR. And with me today I have the Red River Regional Council. Okay, so now you all see the what's new. Let me know if you can't see the screen. And so this is something that typically media will ask us is what's new in your communities? Is there a new ice cream shop? Is there a new grand opening downtown? You know, do you have some milestones coming up? Do you have other events that are taking place? These are things that when media contact me, these are some things to think about when entertaining media in your communities. And then who's your storyteller? Is there a public figure in the community that everyone knows, trusts, can relate to? I know that we've had really good success with the Travel Matters series that we're running right now, and I'm going to just try to play this video for you. And this is something that we've had great success with, and it's really all about showcasing the locals within your community. Can everyone hear that?
I think everybody's a dreamer. Everybody has it in them.
Yeah, that's working.
I just remember feeling like I had found something I'd been looking for but didn't know I needed my entire life. We want the experience to be purposeful, that they'll leave here inspired.
I feel it's such an honor to make something for someone who would use a piece in their everyday life.
I think that's what it comes down to, is it's the people, right? There's more to this. A lot of people will never, ever understand. And we want to be able to show them who we are. To me, it's about that community and about everybody giving their energy and quit judging so much and just accept people. And I see it changing people's lives. You know, they're happier, they're healthier, their families are healthier. We're all kind of pushing the ball uphill, trying to instill a pride in North Dakotans too. I take that responsibility very seriously to make sure that we continue to chase that dream. It's kind of my passion. It's what I love to do.
Even up till today, we could have never dreamt of doing this way.
If I can go out and build 110-foot metal sculpture, I think you can do whatever you put your mind to. Come meet my North Dakota.
Come meet my North Dakota.
I invite you to come meet my North Dakota.
So that's just a video series that, like I said, we're having really good success with here in commerce and with tourism. And so just really to be thinking a little bit more about some of your locals and what they can do for you and leverage them. You know, who are your storytellers? And then really what sets you apart? Again, I'm getting a little wonky here on my screens, but what sets you apart? You know, do you have, one-of-a-kind attraction only to be found in your area or community? How are you telling that story? We really strongly encourage you to start thinking about that, planning ahead for that. If you're strategically thinking about anything upcoming that you can kind of go around any type of upcoming events or attractions in your community, there again, what sets you apart from other people that have similar offerings either within state or out of state as well. And then the last thing that then we want to talk about making it an experience. I'm just going to try to do this here and see if this turns out a little better. Make it an experience. journalists appreciate kind of the full holistic experience. And so, it's everything from trying some of your downtown cuisines, if it's a homemade pie in a cafe, to taking them out and showing them some of the open countrysides that you have, nearby. These are things that media love to write about, as long as there's a story to be told there. And then lastly, but I just wanted to bring up is follow-up. Just a brief follow-up to ensure that the media have everything that they need to write their stories. And that can be media from in-state or out of state. Just to follow up and be sure that they have everything that they need so that they can write a successful piece for you. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to the Red River Regional Council.
All right, well, my name is Maggie Suda. Here's a picture of us. I'm John Mance. I'm the executive director here, and I'm the developer. We're at the Red River Regional Council, but today we're going to talk about tourism with the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council. So this is something that we resurrected a couple years ago. We've expanded the Rendezvous Region to a 3-county area now, so we've got Cavalier, Pembina, and Walsh counties, and it used to just be like a 4-city region, so we've grown it quite a bit. We've got an awesome engaged board of 15 regional leaders, and we meet every month. Our goal is to build a cohesive regional tourism brand through education, marketing, and amenity enhancement. And we've actually accomplished quite a bit in the last year. Last spring, we developed a strategic plan, and we've just about checked everything off of that so far. We received our 501c6 status. We have an awesome intern from Park River that manages our social media. We did receive a North Dakota Partners in Marketing grant to help us pay for some of these things that we wanted to do. We implemented a Best of the Rendezvous Region survey that we post the winners on our Facebook page on a weekly basis. We created a 2019 marketing plan, and we launched our new website, rendezvousregion.com, and we also have a mobile app called Find ND. And the cool thing about this app is our members are able to use this app to edit their business listing on the website. And we also have secured more than 100 members to date. So our website is pretty much 100% membership based, with the 3 local job development authorities as our founding members. So we pretty much do 3 types of public relations here. One of them is media relations. We do a lot of press releases. In rural North Dakota, we don't have a lot of media options, but we do have small weekly newspapers and radio stations, and they're really easy to work with. They'll usually print our press releases verbatim and don't require a media commitment from us. And then we have a few local public access TV channels. We've got one at the Chamber here in Grafton, and the 2 big cable network providers, Polar and United Communications. And all we have to do is send them a PowerPoint slide, and they'll put it up for us for free. Another thing we do is a lot of community relations. When we started promoting the Rendezvous region and the membership drive, we went out to present to chambers of commerce, retail committees, economic development committees, county commissions, city councils, all the JDA boards, and we put together this video, and I'm just going to play a little bit for you, but it just shows you that we're not professionals and we're not afraid to just be ourselves and have fun with it.
Hi, I'm Maggie, Senator with the Pembina County Job Development Authority and a board member of the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council. Hi, I'm Sherry Helgo with ABMD Extension, Pembina County, and board member of the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council. Hi, I'm Don Keeley. I'm with the Red River Regional Council and a board member of the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council. Together, we have an opportunity. We envision world-class recreation, a stream of visitors to support our main street, vibrant community.
So it's about a 4-minute video, but this is what we did instead of presenting a PowerPoint at all these meetings, and we also posted this on our social media. And another thing that we're working on doing this summer is having a presence in the local parades with a float or a truck, just to kind of raise awareness in our local communities. We also do a lot of social media. We do have a presence on all of the major outlets, but Facebook is our #1. We're up to 1,032 likes, and our goal is to get to about 1,500 by August. And one of the fun things we do is we love getting video testimonials from our visitors.
Hi folks, welcome back to Roger Demers Outdoors. We're here in the beautiful Pembina Garden. It's Tuesday the 27th, beautiful day. Here's my friend Lisa, and we're going to do the 4-mile kayak trip all the way into Walhalla. Folks, come and check out the beautiful Crossfire Ski Resort with this great kayak center. Looks to be a great day, and we'll do more videos on the way. We'll check you later, folks. Adios. Hi, folks.
All right.
I think that this is done now. The nice thing about the Roger Demers video is Roger is quite well known in the Red River Valley, and it was kind of happened on the fly. He happened to show up at Crossfire on a day Maggie and I happened to be there, and we knew he would give us some good publicity, and he did. So that's sort of the best, a really good example of us seizing opportunities just when a little bit on the fly and as they happen. So Roger also knows a whole bunch of people all over the state, so he was able to get that out for us and then give us the video as well. So we did a feature with the High Plains Reader Adventure Weekend. They were doing a few features that summer in 2017, and John Strand is one of the owners of the High Plains Reader out of Fargo, and John is a native of this area of the state and a personal friend. So this is an example of leveraging people and contacts that you may know, or people within your groups that people know. With this event, we were able to put together 11 sponsors for a total of $1,700 to host 2 writers from the High Plains Reader. So we did a bit of a high adventure weekend for them, and we paid all of their expenses and hosted them, and we set up hosts to accompany them for a whole 3-day itinerary that showcased our entire 3-county region. And out of that weekend, we received the front cover, which we've featured here. We also received a 4-page feature within the newspaper with the estimated media value of about $7,500. We also got the back side. We purchased a full-page ad, full color, at a rate of only $600. So we've provided links to all the stories that appeared within the paper. And also with this, I requested additional copies. So I have a stack of these readers in my office so that we can use to distribute as we need down the road as well.
So something we recently did was we partnered with the Lake Region Guide, which has circulation in North Dakota and southern Manitoba. And in exchange for a discounted full page rate, we worked with the publication to update all of the Rendezvous region editorial. And they featured a road trip in our region this year. So we got a total of 11 pages of editorial coverage with an estimated media value of about $5,400. And this was great because we noticed a lot of the information they had was outdated. We didn't provide any updated photos, but I'm sure that would have been an option as well. But all of the photos they had were pretty nice.
This is a fossil dig that happens in the Pembina Gorge every summer. We wanted to bring in this slide just to show the value of partnering as much as you can. So this was actually a partnership between North Dakota Department of Commerce, Tourism, and the Pembina Gorge State Recreation Area. And Kim may be able to enlighten us a little bit more, but I understand that tourism worked with the New York Times for over a 2-year period to do a feature on fossil digs in North Dakota, which included our area of the state as well as the Dickinson area. And that story also ran in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune as a feature on their travel section after it appeared in the Times. So our 2018 registration was full within a few hours, and they added additional days to our fossil dig. So this is becoming a big attraction. And then we'll play a short video, or we'll play part of a video, but WDAZ did a wonderful feature video. That's a local TV station in the Red River Valley. And we were able to talk them into giving us the video at no cost, as well as remove the reporter kind of introduction so that we can use this video in other ways.
On one of summer's foggy mornings, Pembina Gorge waits to reveal more of its ancient prehistoric secrets. Not far from the border with Canada, where the forest meets the grasslands, the gorge is hosting those in search of its past.
So this is a matter of finding where you want to dig now. You're just going to keep working your way down to the table, checking the pieces, sticking them behind you.
Paleontologist with the North Dakota Geological Survey.
Okay, do it and then right below it.
Spend a few moments with tourists who have come here from across the country to find fossils.
It's kind of fun. It's like when you're a little kid and you're digging.
Okay, so we just wanted to share some of our tips from the Rendezvous region. We recommend constantly collecting content. Take photos and videos year-round because you never know when you're gonna, need something. Or we found that everyone gets sick of seeing the snow photos, so it's nice to post something else to remind people that spring is coming, but just be aware and just constantly take photos when you see an opportunity. And we also recommend being consistent with your Facebook posts, your Instagram posts. For example, for a while we were doing a video testimonial Tuesday, so every Tuesday we were featuring a testimonial that our intern had taken when she was out and about. Leveraging partnerships and use your connections to create opportunities, and we'll show you an example of that in a minute. Once again, make it a habit to post regularly. And a great thing about Facebook is you can schedule your posts, so you can schedule them out for the entire year if you wanted to. Make sure your messaging is positive and just have fun. You know, we've been kind of learning as we go, and I feel like we're starting to become experts. When we started, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, but you really do learn a lot as you go.
And this was one of our featured Testimonial Tuesdays. Governor Burgum was coming to Augusta Deuce last summer. I got wind that he was coming. We also had the Icelandic Prime Minister coming. This is an Icelandic festival held in the small village of Mountain, North Dakota every year. And so when I heard this, I got a hold of the governor's staff on a Friday and asked if he would be willing to do a short video clip with us the next day. And they asked us for some talking points, and we quickly provided them. And then we had our intern conduct the video interview, or had the governor give us some highlights. And this has been a widely viewed video that we've used on Facebook and have had over 6,000 views of this. So it's really about seizing opportunities anytime that you can, and sometimes they're client videos or you know, visitors to the area, and sometimes they're bigger names that might attract a little more attention. So we try to line up video content when we see there's an opportunity or somebody visiting the area that might be well known that could help us get the word out. And so we would just like to end with this short video from Governor Burgum.
Hi, I'm Governor Doug Burgum, and I'm here today in Mountain, North Dakota. This area of our state is one of the hidden gems of North Dakota's best kept secret, as it's known as the Rendezvous region. It's a one-of-a-kind place that's full of opportunity for growth in all kinds of areas, especially because it's one of the only places in North Dakota with access to over 1.2 million people within a 2-hour drive. This area is rich in history and culture, and that was so evident today at the amazing Deuce of August Icelandic celebration. We had the Prime Minister of Iceland here with us today, along with the ambassadors and other folks. There's something here for everyone, and there's nothing else quite like it in the state of North Dakota. We're talking 4-season recreation area, miles of hiking, biking, snowmobile trails, and now home to the state's only mountain bike park. Golf, skiing, snowboarding, kayaking, which is fantastic, paddleboarding, birding, thousands of acres of forested acres. It's a scenic year-round wonderland. People come here and they go, really? This is North Dakota? It's amazing. It's great to see the emergence of another world-class destination for visitors and locals to enjoy. If you've never visited the Rendezvous region in the northeast corner of our state, I encourage you to make plans now and come explore one of North Dakota's natural wonders. If you've been here before, come again. There's more to explore. Thank you. Enjoy North Dakota. Go Rendezvous region. Hi, I'm Governor.
Awesome video. Thank you, Dawn and Maggie. It's going to be hard to top a testimonial from the governor. I'm wondering if anybody has questions for the Red River Regional Council. I know I have a couple. So one question I have, it seems like you found a way to take advantage of a lot of free advertising, PR, and media options. Does Red River Regional Council have a budget of funds that you allocate specifically for this purpose? And if so, what would you estimate that is?
No, the Red River Regional Council really has absolutely no marketing budget. And this is also an initiative of the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council. So we try to bootstrap our activities the best we can. So our costs are really in staff time, which is funded by the Pembina County Job Development Authority. We're under contract with them to provide development services. And then the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council is funding the cost of our social media intern And then we do some paid media as well with the Rendezvous Region Tourism Council budget.
So it sounds like partnerships are pretty essential to figuring out ways to make ends meet.
And we've really found everybody's quite easy to work with. It's just about being conscious about trying to collect that. When you know, for example, the news story, and being able to, you know, we were able to get that for no cost, and they removed sort of their own introduction to it. So it's really a good media piece for us to be able to use as well.
And the Partners in Marketing program has been huge, and we also were able to take advantage of one of the state's co-op programs with Madden Media, so they were able to match our paid media schedule 100%.
Wow, that sounds like a great resource.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have tips for identifying who your partners can and should be when you're working on a regional PR effort like that?
I think we just know them.
Yeah.
I think if you're not currently working with your area media, whether it's your local newspapers, the radio stations, just last week we had the radio station reach out to us after they received our annual report and offered us, free airtime to do features on things that we're working on. So that and the local community channels on our television, and then getting to know maybe that more distance media that has a higher geographic range. So in our case, that would be the Grand Forks Herald or maybe the Fargo Forum, and the High Plains Reader is a feature out of, it's a paper out of Fargo. So we were trying to touch other markets that were nearby. That would be an easy day trip or a weekend trip up to the Rendezvous region.
Well, and I recommend just meeting with your local media reps. I mean, these mediums are desperate for content too, and you can probably give them some good content that they'll use. But we have an advantage, I think, being in a small town is, we know pretty much everybody. But if you don't, just set up meetings with your local reps. They are more than willing to get to know you. That's their job. They want to know what's going on and help you, and in turn you can help them providing some content.
Another trick that I do is when there's a new writer maybe hired at the Grand Forks Herald or other places, I just reach out and try to take them to lunch or go have coffee and do an introduction, because it'll come in handy at a later time.
That is a great tip. Thanks, Dawn. So Jessie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, so I have quite a few videos that I'd like to share, and I know they're not that easy to see, but I think the audio is important. But I'm coming from, I'm Jessie. I'm coming from Watford City, and really speaking on behalf of, you're talking about partnerships and collaboration. I wanted to talk specifically about the Voices of Watford and Faces of the Patch campaign that I've been involved in spearheading since 2014. And this is really not so much a tourism effort as it has been an economic development and job development authority kind of community PR campaign, and with a lot of hands on deck, including the city and the county and our tourism and being involved in this messaging as well. When I first got on board with this project, I first moved back to our community in, I think, around 2010, and it was a little bit later than that. Anyways, but really just kind of jumped in as being a point of contact and a contract person to work in special projects with the community, because we were growing so incredibly fast, and I had some skill set in some training in media relations and public relations. And so I just kind of worked with the community in trying to spread the message. So I wanted to start with this video just to give you a sense of what Voices of Watford is, and then get into more of the details about how we accomplished this. This is one of my favorites.
I really like to think of myself as somebody not afraid of adventure. I like to be the person that says yes. So I thought, oh, sure, we can go to North Dakota, that's fine.
I came to Watford because we were trying to find a job as an environmental engineer, and they were here in North Dakota, in Watford. When I flew here for the interview, I really wanted to just look at the city. I was driving around and I saw the sign, Visitor Center.
I had a gentleman come in, and he was wondering about the town and the area, so I was giving him some information, and he said he had interviewed for a job here. He asked me if I had a North Dakota patch, and I said, well, yes, I do.
My wife and I, everywhere we go, we collect patches. Even if I didn't get the job here in Watford, I would at least have something to remember that I've been in North Dakota. When I went to pay for it, my card was declined.
He was going to use his credit card. Well, they didn't realize he was up here in North Dakota, I guess. So I said, well, I will buy it for you. He said, oh, no, that's okay. I don't need it. I said, no, I would like to do this for you.
In that moment, Bev said, think of it as a welcome to Watford.
He called me and he said to me, see, there's great people here. It really made a difference to me.
This lady came in one day and she had this plate with this nice bow on it and a nice card.
And I said, Bev, we love you. And he got the job, and here we are. Our family is in Watford City. She had a part in me feeling okay about that decision.
That made me feel really, really good. It made me feel like I did something right. They're just wonderful people here.
Okay, I hope you could see a little bit of the visual on that, but at least hear the story, because that's one of my favorite videos that we accomplished in trying to allow people to see themselves here. And I think that's our biggest goal with the Voices of Watford campaign. But just a little bit more about that. For those of you who don't know, and at one point, Watford City was quite unknown, and I feel like in the last 10 years we've been in the news quite a bit. And at the point when we started this Voices of Watford campaign, we were a booming population. So when I was growing up here, and that's where I'm from, we're a population of 1,200 people in the community and really declining. But then all of a sudden we had this unprecedented boom with uncountable population, really, especially in 2014 when we started this campaign, because we couldn't really grab who was coming in here to work. We couldn't take a proper census count. We didn't understand, we didn't have people in bricks and mortar housing. We could go on and on. This could be a whole webinar on what it was like to experience that type of population boom in our community. And at that time, we were also working on a strategic plan for both the city and the county. And one of our biggest challenges was just our PR, our public relations. We, when you searched Watford City, what did you get? But, I don't have that slide. I'll show you. You got negative press. It was dangerous. The roads are dangerous. People were, of course, because of hydraulic fracking techniques, you had the environmental side of things. There was a lot of stories too about millionaires overnight, and about people coming into the community and feeling unsafe. You name it, we had a story about it. And we really felt like we needed to take a little bit more control of our own narrative. And especially when we're talking about job recruitment and allowing people to see themselves here, and to see what it would be like for them to pick up their families and move. Because when they were calling our offices in economic development, we were a different entity really at the time. It was just one guy, actually my dad, picking up the phone and answering these questions. And there was nothing that we could direct them to show them, and except for maybe referencing them to call somebody who has had a similar experience. So they were Googling it, and they were creating their own content on YouTube and Facebook, and a lot has changed even in the last 4 years about the way that we communicate on social media. But at that time, we felt like we wanted to take control of our narrative. Voices of Watford started really with a small effort locally in our local newspaper. I did a Faces of the Patch campaign. I didn't put this in the PowerPoint, but it just occurred to me that's where it started. We were talking about, relationships with your local media, our weekly paper, I would submit a story every week about a different person who has been impacted by the oil activity and their personal story. And I wrote it and I took a picture, and we had a partnership where we had some paid content in the McKenzie County Farmer. So we had several weeks of that, and then they followed suit where they went out and took their own story, so that at least there was these personal accounts of people in Watford City coming from other places, and whatever their experience was, you know, of course it wasn't always so controlled on the other end when the farmer was doing it, but at least you could Google it, you could buy the paper, you could pick up, and you could see these personal accounts. And we wanted to continue that with this Voices of Watford campaign. So we started working on it in 2014 at the height of our community growth, and then rolled it out in early 2015. And I should have a count of videos, but I wonder if I can click on this and show you what the actual website looks like. Nope. Okay, that's fine. But this is kind of the scrolling header on our website, and you guys can look at it, just voicesofwatford.com. The idea is that we feature our people, and we're upfront about our challenges, but that we can tell those challenges in our own words and what they really look like, because in the height of the oil boom, especially reporters and things wanted black and white stories, but we all know in all of our communities that there's a gray area. It's not just black and white. We don't just love it and hate it. And those are our challenges, and how can we have people tell that story? And we wanted to take charge of that. Oh, this is the slide I was looking for. When you were typing Watford City in Google or YouTube in 2014, there was just like basically this. Deadly oil fires, people sleeping in campers and cars, and you know, the winter was so bad. But at that time, you know, people were looking for jobs, and they were leaving everything behind and coming to Watford City, and then making their money and then moving back to other parts of the country. And we really have our eye on, and we still do, we want people to make their home here. So we're building our community for people to make their home here, but how are we reflecting that in media? So our goal with Voices of Watford was to give voice to our residents, let them tell their story in their own words, and then serve as a landing page for those looking for more information. So we linked this all up with, you know, all of our social media sites, of course, and our websites, but so they could place themselves, so they could see a version of themselves in Watford, and then also see what it looks like, because at that time we didn't really have a huge online presence other than whatever Wikipedia was, you know, showing as a picture, whatever we had for pictures on our websites. So they could Google Watford City and they could actually see video of what it looks like. And that I think was really important. And then also on the other side is we had a ton of companies and businesses looking for recruiting employees, and getting the right people here so they could use Voices of Watford to tell the Watford City story. And then we focused on quality of life concerns, because those were the questions we always got. Is it safe for women here? What are the schools look like? If I'm going to move my family here, what can I expect? Just like Betsy and Ryan. There's a funny story about Betsy. She sent her husband when he came here and met Bev and went to the visitor center, but she also sent him and said, go to the grocery store, look around, talk to people, tell me what the moms look like, tell me if there are any moms there. So she wasn't able to come and scope out the community for herself, but she sent her husband on a mission to see it from her eyes. She wanted to see if there were moms pushing their kids in shopping carts. She wanted him to talk to those moms and get the scoop on what life was like there. And with Voices of Watford, we were able to go and feature some of those moms and some of those families so that people like Betsy could see it without coming here. So we focused on businesses and jobs, our community, what that looks like the powwow, what our parks look like, housing, what that situation is. We were really upfront. We featured Don't Call Them Man Camps, so people could actually get inside a man camp, and I use the air quotes around that, and what that looks like. There were some scary information about what a man camp looks like out there and what happens in man camps, which really is like a big dorm for working guys and women too. Schools, and then we did add tourism to the mix later on because as this website lived on, this was also a good tool to show what we do here in terms of fun. So those are just a few examples of videos we have out there. I wanted to play this video because I think this is called Taking the Wheel, and I think it shows a good representation of taking one person's experience who maybe doesn't look like the typical oil field worker and giving her a voice.
I taught school for 27 years. I think that most teachers eventually burn out from teaching. It's a very intense profession. My husband had just gotten a job driving a semi, and his boss told me if I got my CDL to come on over, so I did. And it was just a small trucking company, so we weren't making a lot of money. And we decided to go to the oil field. Being a truck driver for Nuvera can be pretty profitable. I come in at approximately 3:30 every day. We do a 12-hour night. If I can, I'll do 14 or 15. If there is work, I leave immediately and I go to the water hole, pick up water, and take it to the rig. The well sites can be dangerous. Traffic on a well site can be kind of very hectic. The porta potties out there are absolutely gross. I'm guessing it's at least 95% men. In order for a woman to do the job out here, they need to be physically fit enough to do the job. You don't have to be super strong, but you do have to be able to lift and to do a lot of walking. If you are working rigs, you're climbing a lot of rig stairs up to the doghouse. I guess you just have to be willing to do the work. I find hauling to the rigs very interesting. People are very pleasant. Everybody's always been polite. I feel safe here. I enjoy doing it.
Are you guys okay seeing some of that footage at least and hearing that audio? I have no idea if you can even hear it.
Yeah,
so let me know.
We could see it and hear it.
Yeah,
oh,
you're awesome. She's amazing.
Isn't she wonderful? And so that's one of my favorites because she's answering all of those questions that we were getting. She's a woman. She's an older woman. She was a school teacher, and she's telling it like it is. So we didn't shy away. And the company that we were working with, will have to say they were a little bit more wanting to. We worked with them on creating a real message because, of course, we want a real message, but making sure that we're being transparent in the experience too. So not trying to sugarcoat it as like a big, come live in Watford City, it's for everybody type of way, because no one's going to benefit from that messaging, but just taking these individual stories. And she says she likes it here. She says she feels safe. We didn't prompt her to say that, but she said it because it's true and she's having a good living here. But then you could also see exactly what it looks like to drive a truck. And did you see that really, really icy stretch of road? I love the porta potty comment because that's just real life out here. And so we were trying to be not so flashy, but real. And I feel like that video accomplished that. I don't know, how am I doing with time? We have till
looks like we have about 10 more minutes. Yeah.
I'd like to show you one more video that touches on housing, and we wanted to show a family that lived here that had housing challenges because that was one of our biggest issues and still sort of is right now. But at that time, they tell the story of how they came here and how they got into their housing, and then you can see a family living in Watford.
Natural gas industry back in Searcy, Arkansas was slowing down some. And so there was an opportunity that arose, and we came here to start a new life.
So our home in Searcy was 1,900 square feet, and we went into a 400 square feet fifth wheel. When we came here, the few homes that were to rent were very expensive. At that time, we sought a home in Arkansas and trying to make a living here, and so you just couldn't do the prices that were on the rentals. we were able to move into an apartment through my job through the school district. These apartments were built with the county and city employees in mind to occupy these.
I love this apartment. It was such a blessing when the doors opened up for us to come here, and we was both in awe. Christy's sister sent her a sign that says, "Arkansas, my home, sweet home." And yes, that is our home, sweet home. It'll always be home. But right now in our life, North Dakota is our home. This is where we're grounded right now, and we have friends here that are like family to us. And we want to be a part of their home here.
So I love that one for a lot of reasons. I love their accent because I feel like we do have a lot of Southern transplants, I guess, up here. So those looking for, a place of work to relocate, they could see that, see themselves here. But it also talks about housing and how he talks about how we as a community have found a solution for some of our essential workers. So that kind of bodes well for the idea that you're welcome here, we want you here, we want to help accommodate you. But then the other thing is, okay, so now you have this content, and now what you do with it? We have this flashy website, we spent plenty of money on it. How do you get that message to people so they know that where to find it? And so we had kind of a unique partnership, kind of similar to what the Pembina Gorge region did with the High Plains Reader, which I think is totally genius. But we found a partnership with the Scott Hennon show on the state AM radio, and we worked a contract with him so that he would kind of tell the Watford City story a little bit organically. He's of course a champion of the area, but we knew that their people, our target audience, our workforce was out there listening to that particular talk radio station at that time. And so what we did with him is he would do some on-site monthly visits to Watford where he would broadcast his show in Watford City at our Rib Fest, at a public meeting, and talk to people living here and working here. So the Voices of Watford sort of continued on air with Scott Hennon. And then we also had advertising on his site, referencing advertising on his radio station and on that network, advertising the experience here in Watford City and referencing voicesofwatford.com to find out more information. And the messaging was me, and I'm sure some of you have heard it because we get a lot of crap now because they play it over and over again. So we're revamping that message and working on that, and I'll tell you that in a little bit. But we're not the same, of course, but we think we're getting better. And so the message was, now we have safe highways, we have a new rec center, we have everything here is new, which is totally true, and it was sort of like a list and kind of a call to action to come and see for yourself. And like I said, he got some of those organic conversations about what's happening in Watford City on air, and he was able to answer them when his callers called in. And so we're continuing that partnership now, and that was really interesting. We also, of course, cross-posted all of these voices on our YouTube, Vimeo, community websites, Twitter and Facebook, and we tried to keep our site current by adding news links, because that was my concern, is that, you have this kind of static website with all of these videos on it, but then we need to make sure it looks like someone's still on it. So what was good about the site then and having that video content easily accessible for people is that it gave some news sources another source for story ideas. They could see what it looked like here, and then they could call us and get a few more story ideas when they're wanting to get out there and talk about this oil boom, but also giving tools to family and friends who are maybe calling back to their family and friends and telling them, hey, you should move here, there's great opportunities, this is what it looks like. So now when you search Watford City on YouTube, it looks a little bit different. Of course, there's always a tornado, it seems like, that rolls through here, but you know, we're one of our new videos right here, the Watford City Move Back and Loving It, is the second thing that you see. And then our Voices of Watford playlist comes up the fourth, which is not what it looked like before. You still have to battle, and you can't control all the content. You know, what other people are putting online and their followers. This ride around town has been there. I don't even know what that is, but some of that organic content I think is more clickable and accessible for people. So in our future, in our Watford City page, this is kind of like the 8th down. So that's changed. But in our future campaign, we're talking about making videos, adding to this that are just a little bit more organic, coming from people, boots on the ground, from their own iPhones, things like that. Maybe not spending so much money on the professionally developed videos because they're trustworthy, but not in the same sense as someone on the ground telling their own story. So we're talking about that. I will just play, well, we're running out of time, but this this is a new video, an example of a recent video that we've added. So we're looking at re-upping our, I'm not going to play this because we don't have time, but I'll tell you to go to Voices of Watford and look at it yourself. It's just a feature on all of the community members, on a few select community members who have come back to the community and what had lived here and moved back and why they chose to do that when they could live other places. And we need to now have future plans for this site we're working on. I'm back in the mix, working with tourism and economic development, and I work on our social media and website presence. And it's so interesting, just at the tourism conference, I felt like I used to know how to do this, but it's changing constantly. And in the last 4 years, our community has changed completely from what you see on these videos. All the promises we made to build have come to fruition. It looks completely different. So we need to update our messaging and target it more to the people that we want to come to the community. It's not so much now that we have a different problem because there's jobs in other parts of the country now. It's not such a desperate situation. So now we need to appeal to people who maybe can keep their job in Minneapolis or in Arkansas, but maybe we can provide them with a different opportunity and we can entice them to live in our community. So our message is different. Our message is like, we're ready for you. You can have a really great life here, because we're not the only place hiring anymore. So we're updating our video content as we speak, and we're continuing our communication in the project with about the project with area businesses and organizations, companies, so that they can use it as a recruitment tool and continue to use it. Our new ad campaign is kind of cut down a little bit with Scott Hennon, because we felt like maybe we don't want to be so political, but we do want to still remain on his radio program. So we're featuring real story testimonials that link up with the stories on the site. So we do have those ads happening now. They're, I think, rolling out, where he interviews someone who's talking about their experience in Watford and why they're living the good life here, and then he directs them to Voices of Watford, and they'll actually be able to see that person telling their story in a different way on our Voices of Watford site. But we're running out of time, so I won't play that. But I want to tell you a few of the people that we worked with. Some media companies. Crash and Seuss was who put the website together for us and helped us with the platform. They were very, very expensive, but very, very professional. So now moving forward with the new videos, we're working with agency Mabu. They're coming out in the middle of May to do 3 more videos that link up with our radio campaign. And then we also work with them in tourism, so they really know, and the Rough Rider Center here, really know our messaging, and so that will kind of create continuality there. The Bartlett Idea Company did the Move Back and Loving It video. They're out of Fargo. We used them too for one video. So we have 3 or 4 new videos up since then. And we do use MyND on our YouTube channel too. We have a couple Watford City people on the tourism campaign that works really well with our voices. So that's just a little snippet of what we've been doing with Voices, and we're really digging back into it now after kind of letting it settle, and thinking about how we can share this message and continue to share this message. But yeah, so if you guys have access to this, you can click on those audio and video links, but also just go to voicesofwatford.com and you can see the whole project.
Thank you so much, Jessie. Can you email me this PowerPoint so that I can share it out to the folks who are on the call today?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then I also see a question from Tammy. Can you say how much the videos cost to do?
Oh my gosh, I knew you guys were going to ask me. So it was really expensive, and here's my tip. You can do it for cheaper. But we had a partnership and a connection through Scott Hennon with Crash and Seuss, and they did the whole project. I think we got it reduced down because I was looking back through my notes, and of course I'm not as involved in the financing, but it was $100,000 project. It was a big project, but here's what we learned, and it was different as we move forward, that I know you can do something similar with this, to this, for way less than that. But that's where we stood, and we were able to find the funds, and we were able to rock with it. But now going back into it, working with Mabu, doing for 3 more videos. JDA has the budget, and that 3 more professionally developed videos that we can add to this website that's already out there, because that $100,000 was a lot of videos. I can't remember how many you can count in there. I should have told you, but several videos plus the web development, and them being out here for a long time. But Agency Mabu's coming back out here and doing 3 videos for us for $14,000. So these professionally developed videos are really expensive, and that's sort of why we're talking about adding more organic boots on the ground, finding people to get out there and spread that message differently in their, but that can be part of that campaign too, where we're imploring people to do their own work with Voices, or maybe finding those people to do it so that it doesn't cost so much, but still having the professional content out there.
Mm-hmm. That's a good tip. Thank you, Jessie. And I know that we're right past 11, but this is a good conversation, so feel free to drop off if you need to, and then those who can stick around, let's just keep talking. I see one other question from Tammy. So did the $14,000 include messaging development and other things as well?
So with Mabu,
I think that's what she's referring to.
The 14, yeah, okay. So the 14,000 for Mabu is them coming out, creating. We kind of have the messaging. We work with them on, and we find the people that we want them to interview. In this case, we have 3 people picked out that we've already had Scott Hennon interview for the radio program. So we spend time, talking with Mabu about our creative goals, and then they'll create 3 1.5-minute videos. So it fits the format, but this 14,000 includes development of that message, the message in each one of those videos. They'll come out to Watford. They'll stay overnight. They'll stay 2 days. So it includes all that it takes to bring the crew that they need out to the middle of nowhere across the state and create those messaging and produce the whole thing. And with Mabu, here's another thing. This is important. They give us content. They give us access to their B-roll. And when we worked with Crash and Seuss, they're such a big company. They did not give us access to their B-roll. Everything that they created for us, and they spent all that time out here, we had to buy the additional footage that they didn't create, which is, I don't know what we would have done with it at the time, but we could have definitely used it. Agency Mabu gives us access to whatever they video while they're here. And just working with a local company is easier.
Good to know. Thank you. I have a question for you. So I think figuring out the right way to proactively manage your public relations and your media presence and your reputation requires some level of self-awareness of what your reputation is and kind of how the rest of the world views your community. And I think that might be easier for communities like Watford City that are in the news a lot. Do you have tips for how to figure out what your external reputation is so that you know where you're starting from?
Yeah, that's a great question. That self-awareness is huge. I know I learned that from my dad, where he was always, working in economic development when it was a slower time. And he would say, this place isn't for everybody, but who it is for can have a great experience here. So he wasn't trying to sell Minneapolis to somebody, and I think that's where we kind of kept our feet on the ground here with this campaign. But besides what you see in the news, because that was what was happening and still happens, there's a lot of news that comes out of here. We listen to what people were talking about when you're standing in line at in a hotel, to get your sandwich in Bismarck or whatever, and maybe talk to people about where you're from, like when you're out and about in the rest of the state, leading with, hey, I'm from Watford City, and then and listening to their response to that, and maybe prompting some questions and prompting some conversation with even strangers really informed us. And I just remember talking about that when we were working on this campaign. Someone said, I'm standing in line at, to check into a hotel room, and I was listening to what someone in front of me was saying about, what's happening in Western North Dakota, and it wasn't good. And so I was able to chime in with, no, this is my experience, but just really listening and talking to people about it and asking those questions has helped us a lot when you're out and about in the rest of the community, and also in Watford City, the rest of the country at that time, of course. You're able to get a little bit of tips on what people are saying, but it really isn't anything, more magical than that, but just paying close attention.
That makes sense. Good advice. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Kim just to wrap it up. But thanks again to Jesse and Dawn and Maggie from Red River Regional Council.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining us and sharing your valuable insight in your communities. And for more information on anything else PR related, please feel free to reach out to us here at the Department of Commerce. Happy to help out. A couple of things to maybe keep on your calendar for some upcoming PR opportunities. We will be hosting the Midwest Travel Network Conference May 13th to the 15th in Medora. And so that's an opportunity to network with different writers and bloggers from the Midwest. So if you're looking for a unique way to tell your story, there are some different PR opportunities available. And I can share that with Emily to pass along on the follow-up as well.
Please do.
If you're not members of the North Dakota Professional Communicators, that's also another great North Dakota group that provides tips and tricks on how to better present yourselves to media, how to put your best foot forward when greeting media. And also, we do have a program called Help a Reporter Out. It's called HARO. So if you're just looking for ways to maybe reach out, this HARO group is simply reporters putting out requests saying, I am writing about some of the best places to experience mountain biking. Do you have any recommendations? And so it might be an opportunity if you have a great new trail or something that you want to showcase. It's a free service. You can simply pitch it. I will also include a link to that and pass on to Emily for follow-up. And for more information, if you go to ndtourism.com, we have a marketing and communications resource tab out there under the industry tab. So feel free to peruse that or simply reach out to us. We're happy to help to try to bring more exposure and PR opportunities to your doorstep.